Harry and Meghan chose now for their latest cosplaying sham royal tour. We'll get the verdict from Australia, where the egos have landed, and I have an exclusive announcement coming up about how Uncensored will be covering this momentous existential time for the royal family.
Despicable fake tears at Bondi Beach, using a terrorist atrocity to sell her shitty clothing.
We're watching these two do exactly what they said they didn't want to do. This is why they left the royal family.
They're cheapening royalty. Royalty has become very cheap to me. It's become disdain.
Today, Harry and Meghan torched what little was left of their relationship with the royal family and what little was left, frankly, of their own reputation.
We see her grifting off a tragedy. She is a disaster tourist. Why is she allowed to do this?
The moment that had everyone frozen. Bondi Beach in Sydney, where 15 innocent lives were taken in a brutal anti-Semitic mass shooting just months before. Families were still deep in grief, still picking up the pieces, and then Meghan Markle shows up. Cameras rolling, eyes locked in, and that single tear, left eye, sliding down a perfectly sculpted cheek like it was time to the second. Piers Morgan saw that clip and said what a lot of people were already thinking out loud. This wasn't raw emotion, this looked staged. He's covered the royal family for over 20 years, but on Uncensored, he made it clear. This Australia tour felt completely different, like something he had never witnessed before. Two people standing in the middle of tragedy, sick kids, struggling women, even a massacre site, being used like a backdrop to push outfits online. That's the accusation, and it's hitting hard. And what's making people even more heated? King Charles isn't stepping in at all.
What you have is an extraordinary situation where two people who have caused intense damage to the reputation of the royal family and the institution of the monarchy are now running a kind of renegade rival royal family, engaging in rival tours and going to places like Australia, and that can only be ultimately more damaging for the actual royal family.
That she was even deciding to go to Bondi Beach and all of a sudden care about an anti-Semitic Islamist terror attack was disgusting anyway, but the fake tears made me ill.
Piers isn't just frustrated, he's calling for action. After everything that went down during that Australia trip, it's getting harder and harder for critics to stay quiet. Now circle back to that Bondi Beach scene because people are picking it apart frame by frame. Meghan didn't just show up. Critics say this looked carefully planned from start to finish. A survivor just happened to be there, the camera just caught the perfect angle, way too many coincidences for people to ignore. This wasn't random. People are saying this looks like a full-on production, scheduled, staffed, perfectly lit. And right in the middle of it, Meghan standing there, appearing to show grief over a tragedy she hadn't publicly acknowledged when it actually happened. Not a statement, not a post, not even a quick message of support when those 15 lives were lost at one of the world's most iconic beaches.
If they want to go and make a ton of money, out of being Harry and Meghan, fine. But to do it under the guise of titles bestowed by the royal family and monarchy, which they have spent years trashing, I think is unacceptable.
And if this is something that is allowed to happen, I feel like I don't want anything to do with it because there is no sense of duty. There is no sense of doing it because you have a connection to the people you are trying to help.
This is what I truly love. They're there because they can't get work anywhere else. Netflix has dumped them. Spotify and Lemonada have dumped Meghan. The coffers have dried up.
But now there were cameras. Now there was attention. And critics are pointing out, now there was also an outfit on display. Here's the detail that really pushed even some of her longtime defenders over the edge. The clothes she wore to Bondi Beach at a memorial while meeting survivors were already listed on her AI shopping platform before she had even left the area. People could literally click and buy the exact same look while she was still there. Own the look Meghan wore. That's how it came across to critics, and it didn't sit right at all. Royal commentator Tom Sykes, who's known for giving the Sussexes a fair shake, didn't hold back this time. He wrote that Meghan had turned a massacre site into what felt like an online shopping space. He called it a revolting dereliction of duty, not just as a royal figure, but on a basic human level. Piers Morgan pushed even harder. He focused on her expression, saying the rapid blinking stood out, deliberate, controlled, like someone trying to force tears instead of actually feeling them.
Well, what I would say is Mr. and Mrs. Grifter Piers have come to Australia and are using us as a cash cow, essentially, because what we have seen over the last 2 days is Meghan and Harry using every opportunity for a photo opportunity here, a PR op here. I mean, they love a microphone and they love a camera, don't they?
If I was to visit Bondi Beach after a terrible tragedy, the last thing I would do is have a faux walkabout. I certainly wouldn't be laughing and smiling, not to mention posing in the clothes I was planning on merching later. And that is exactly what she did.
One commentator summed it up in a way that got a lot of attention, calling it Meghan's most difficult acting role so far, and critics didn't stop there. They started connecting dots to past moments, including her visit to Uvalde after the school tragedy. Flying in, appearing at the memorial, then leaving, it's being described as a pattern by some voices online. A pattern that's now leading more people, even former supporters, to use a harsh label they once avoided. Disaster tourist. Piers said it live on air. His Australian panellist, Danica DiGiorgio, said it too. And when people in totally different places all land on the same exact phrase at the same time, it starts to feel less like opinion and more like a shared conclusion. If Bondi Beach was being called the emotional low point of the tour, then what came next? Critics are calling the Her Best Life retreat the commercial low. Piers could barely hold back when breaking this down. Because here's what people are saying it looked like. Meghan Markle using her Duchess of Sussex title to host a high-priced wellness experience, charging Australian women thousands just to be in the same space with her.
Meghan just turned a massacre site into an online shopping mall. It really shouldn't need saying, but when you are meeting people affected by an anti-Semitic mass shooting, making a quick buck off the event is a revolting dereliction of one's duty. And then he says, not as a royal, as a human.
They're using Australia as a cash cow. They are grifters. That is why they're here.
The location? The Intercontinental at Bondi Beach. Sounds polished, but reports pointed out the venue wasn't even fully finished. Scaffolding still up, no proper ballroom ready, and the whole thing didn't exactly scream luxury at critics watching closely. And then there's the part that really raised eyebrows. The tickets didn't even sell out. In a country with 26 million people, at a venue that holds around 300, the room still wasn't full. But it doesn't stop there. The women who did show up, some paying what could equal weeks of their salary, reportedly only got about 122 minutes with Meghan before she left early. Walked out, headed off to watch Harry at the rugby, just like that. Piers paused, looked straight into the camera because the contrast is what really hits. This is the same person who once had a $100 million Netflix deal, a massive Spotify contract, sat across from Oprah in prime time and held the world's attention. And now, critics are questioning how it all shifted so fast. 300 seats, just 122 minutes, and still couldn't sell it out. That's not just awkward, it's a massive drop that people can't ignore.
We know that's what you did, as that one said, Meghan's most difficult acting part so far, alongside this video, making it abundantly clear that she was faking it.
I mean, look, I can see there's something about them which could have been a great asset to the royal family. No question. I wrote that on the day they got married. People forget this, but the Mail on Sunday wrote a huge piece about how great they could be for the royal family. Then it all went sour. Not going to relitigate all those years of souring.
This was an acting job. It was for the cameras. She doesn't give a damn about the victims of Bondi Beach.
This is the scene of the original crime in which Meghan Markle, I believe it was very early on in their marriage, she and Harry went on their Australia tour, their inaugural, and she reportedly said, "I cannot believe I'm not getting paid for this."
The deals started slipping away. Spotify cut ties. Netflix reportedly created distance. That hard-hitting Vanity Fair article, it pushed the idea that Hollywood had cooled off completely. The big money slowed down the US spotlight faded, and now critics are saying this Australia trip felt like a last attempt to keep things moving. Piers didn't sugarcoat it at all. He broke it down in the simplest way, going from a $100 million streaming deal to struggling to fill 300 seats in an unfinished hotel space isn't just a shift. Critics are calling it a full collapse, and this is where things really took a serious turn. Voices from totally different sides started agreeing. Trevor Phillips, Megyn Kelly, even people connected to Prince William and Catherine, all speaking up in the same direction.
Yeah, she doesn't even bother to even give her presence for an extended amount of time. I mean, she's out as quickly as she came, and that is, to me, it tells you everything about who this woman actually is. And so for the people that paid this money, yeah, that is to be expected, because that is the character of Meghan Markle. She doesn't care that you spent this money to see her. She is wanting to earn her money and leave as quickly as she can because she just does not care.
One moment in particular sparked intense backlash. Harry and Meghan visited a children's cancer hospital, kids with weakened immune systems, going through heavy treatment, fighting through some of the toughest conditions imaginable. It should have been a quiet, careful visit, but critics described something very different. Children reportedly brought into a corridor, lined up while cameras rolled as Meghan walked through slowly, smiling, interacting, with every second being captured. A source close to William and Catherine spoke to journalist Richard Eden, and the reaction was strong. They said situations like this risk making vulnerable children look like props for attention or promotion. The concern goes deeper than just one visit. It's about how royal duties are supposed to be carried out, with responsibility, with care, and without turning serious moments into something that looks staged or commercial. That's why this moment hit so hard, because for many watching, it crossed a line that shouldn't be crossed. Piers was absolutely fired up. The panel went quiet when the footage played because the visuals hit harder than anything anyone could say out loud. And then one detail came out that pushed the whole situation from uncomfortable to completely indefensible in the eyes of critics. The outfit Meghan wore to the children's cancer hospital, yes, that same visit, was listed on her AI shopping platform that very same day. People could go online and buy it immediately, all while those children she had just met were still in their hospital beds.
What the Spotify executive called them, a pair of effing grifters. If they want to go and make a ton of money, out of being Harry and Meghan, fine. But to do it under the guise of titles bestowed by the royal family and monarchy, which they have spent years trashing, I think is unacceptable.
Watching this tour, I'd be furious, because I would think, how can you, this was the whole point of the Sandringham Summit. You can't have your cake and eat it, it's one or the other.
And it didn't stop there. Later that same afternoon, she changed outfits for a Veterans Arts event, and that look went online too. Posted, promoted, ready to be clicked. Piers has been repeating this for years now. He says the core issue isn't that Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties, it's that they stepped away while still holding on to everything that gave them influence. The titles, the access, the sense of royal backing, and according to critics, continuing to use all of that like business tools. For many watching, that hospital visit became the moment that confirmed their concerns. They're saying it didn't come across as pure charity or service. It looked more like content being created in real time with seriously ill children caught in the middle of it. If there was ever a snapshot that critics say defines where things stand now, they point right here. And then another twist. Reports claimed Meghan even offered to appear on Australian MasterChef for free, no payment at all. But even then, there were still conditions that raised eyebrows, including a request to limit or shut down the comment section entirely.
Selling the clothes off her own back at the site of a massacre where 15 people died might come easily to Meghan, but like any right-minded person, I find this sickening. Well done, Tom Sykes, so do I.
That contrast is what has people talking the most. MasterChef said no. And that's when things got even messier, at least according to critics online. Suddenly, a wave of strange accounts started popping up, brand new profiles, barely any followers, 0 posts, with names like Root for Good flooding the comment sections with over-the-top praise. People caught on fast. Viewers were screenshotting these accounts within hours, calling them out and even laughing at how obvious they looked. Meanwhile, the real comments told a completely different story. Longtime fans were not happy. Some even talked about boycotting the episode entirely. A phrase started gaining traction too, getting markled, used by critics to describe someone's reputation taking a hit just by being associated. And then came the details that kept piling up. She showed up to a cooking show dressed in black, which stood out to viewers. There were also claims she asked not to be called Meghan and instead wanted a more formal title used. In photos, critics pointed out she often positioned herself a step ahead of everyone else. And one moment that got attention, when a host referred to her as Meghan Markle, reports say it didn't go down well. Piers zeroed in on what he called the biggest clue of the whole situation. She wasn't paid.
That is something that people need protected against. I think there needs to be something done about Meghan and this whole title that she is using, that she is trying to make money off of. I mean, that is something that needs to be, something needs to be done about it. There needs to be protections for the people who are taken advantage of.
According to the narrative critics are pushing, she wasn't even formally invited. She asked to be part of it. So now, people are looking at it like this, showing up in a country where public opinion is mixed, appearing on a show she likely wouldn't land in the US, and framing it like she was doing them a favor. The bigger picture? Critics say major entertainment circles have already made up their minds and opportunities are tighter than ever. So this trip, in their eyes, looked like searching for a new stage, a smaller one, but still a spotlight. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get more intense, the Warriors game happened, and for many watching, that moment stripped away whatever image was left. Harry and Meghan popped up on the big screen inside the stadium, and according to Piers, a source inside the crowd sent in footage and described exactly how it went down. First, silence. Not excitement, not cheers, just a flat, uninterested reaction from a crowd that didn't seem engaged at all. Then came the boos, not overwhelming, but clear enough that you couldn't miss them. Audible, sharp, and impossible to ignore. And in that moment, critics say you could actually see the shift happen in real time. The energy changed, and so did their response. They started waving, but not to people waving back. It looked forced, like they were trying to spark a reaction that just wasn't there. Then came the moment Piers' source claimed felt staged, the public display of affection.
The funniest part about this, Piers, they say that they're just coming here as two private citizens. Well, in the last couple of hours, Meghan has been announced, would you believe, as a guest judge on the Australian version of MasterChef, as in the cooking show.
Harry leaned in. Meghan accepted it, and the cameras captured it perfectly, right on cue. For critics, this moment summed up the entire tour. One long, carefully managed series of photo opportunities, playing out in front of an audience that's not reacting the way it once did. And now, even parts of the media that stayed quiet before are starting to speak more directly about what they're seeing. This is where Piers shifts from frustrated to outright angry, because reports from sources connected to Buckingham Palace say there have been zero discussions about removing Harry and Meghan's titles. None at all. Despite everything critics are pointing to, the hospital visit, Bondi Beach, the outfit promotions, the crowd reaction, and claims that certain agreements tied to their royal exit have been pushed aside. The official stance: keep moving forward, stay steady, don't overreact. But Piers isn't accepting that. He brought up comparisons to past royal decisions, arguing that the response now doesn't match the seriousness of the situation being described. And that argument is hitting harder now than it ever has before. Prince Andrew lost his titles without ever being convicted of a crime. The issue centered on his association with a convicted offender and how he handled the situation: serious, widely criticized, and damaging. But critics are pointing out something else too. He never publicly accused the royal family of racism on a global stage, never released a book breaking down family conflicts, and never tied appearances at sensitive locations to commercial promotion. That's why people keep bringing up the comparison. The precedent is there, the system exists. And Piers is asking one question over and over. If that action was taken before, why not now?
I've always made it clear that Andrew's offences to me are far more egregious than anything that Harry and Meghan have done. I've never said anything different, and I wouldn't say that now. I think the way he lied about his relationship with Epstein, the damage he's done, his refusal to give evidence under oath, it's all on a different level. However, the commonality of it is where you, through any of your actions, dishonour and disrespect the reputation of the institution of the monarchy or the royal family, then actually there is now an established mechanism with the Andrew situation to remove their titles. And a lot of British people in the polls don't agree with you, they agree with me.
A source once close to Queen Elizabeth reportedly shared a view that's getting a lot of attention again, especially after this Australia tour. The claim is that this exact situation, this mix of public role and private business, is what she tried to prevent. The message tied to that: you can't operate halfway in and halfway out. You can't hold on to royal titles and the weight that comes with them while also using that image to promote personal ventures. Critics are spelling it out clearly. They argue you can't present appearances at serious, emotional locations as public service while also linking them to products or promotion. And you can't show up at moments of tragedy and then have those same outfits immediately available for purchase online. That's the line many are saying has been crossed, and it's why this debate isn't slowing down. Right before the cameras cut, Piers made it clear he thinks King Charles needs to stop being seen as the soft-touch people believe he is, because from this angle, critics are saying William has reached his limit. The future king is watching what many describe as his grandmother's legacy being turned into something commercial, and the one person with the authority to step in hasn't made a move. And the timing couldn't be bigger. King Charles is heading into a major US visit, addressing Congress, stopping in New York, facing global attention. Commentators are calling it a defining moment for the monarchy's reputation worldwide. But here's the issue critics keep raising. He's walking into that spotlight while the fallout from Harry and Meghan's Australia trip is still everywhere. Every headline, every clip playing over and over. Piers closed it out the way he always does on this topic, not just with frustration, but with a direct question that keeps hanging in the air. At what point does the impact on the monarchy outweigh a father's hesitation to act against his own son? Because when people list everything that's being debated, the emotional moments, the hospital visit, the retreat turnout, the crowd reactions, the online activity, the constant headlines, it builds a picture that's hard for critics to ignore. And in their view, that tipping point isn't somewhere in the future. They're saying it's already here. If you've been following all of this, drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is not slowing down anytime soon. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share if you want more breakdowns like this, and stay tuned for the next video. Own anytime soon.